Welcome to Jimbo's Garage.
Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome back to Jimbo's Garage. Well, today we got a project that I'm going to be doing here at the house, and I'm going to take you in the backyard. Going to kind of show you what we got going on. You know, my grandson now is a year and a half, and he's all over the place, and he's got this beautiful backyard to playing in right here, but unfortunately he likes to go right over here, and this is what we're going to be doing. I'm going to be building a about 3 foot tall 2 side panels and a little gate in here, and this is going to hopefully help Trouble over there, my wife and my 2 daughters and my grandson. Going to help him, Walter, from getting in here, and we can get rid of this ugliness I got going on right here. So I'm going to make get some measurements, draw up some plans. We'll take this back to the shop and get started on today's video. There's my latest granddaughter, 3 days old, and there's Trouble right there. All right, let's get back in the shop, get started on this project so we can get this up, keep Walter out from getting in trouble over there. All right, so we're going to be using some 1¼ square Jimbos 6.3. You know, I keep waiting for this pile to go down. Just when I want to think I get rid of it, I keep adding to it because I got all these projects I can't seem to get to. And every time I get metal for a project, I'm sealing it for something else, and that's the case for this one right here. This 1½ square tube is used for another project, but we're going to steal from it right now. I'll get some more later. And then I've got some 5/8 square tube right here for the pickets, and that's the material we use. But for now, we got plenty of this 1¼ inch. Let's use this stuff. All right, so I might have got my sizes mixed up just a little bit there. Just to clarify, this is in fact 1¼ inch square Jimbos 6.3. I know I may have mentioned in there it was 1.5 inches, but it is 1¼ inch. And I'm starting to make all the cuts right here. Now I've got 3 panels that I'm going to be building, 2 side panels and a gate, and then the side panels on either side have got I've got some angles to get around, so I'm just making all the cuts. All right, I got all the pieces for the first panel. This will be the panel that goes up against the house, comes out about 24 inches. I had a couple jogs, had to get around the air conditioner lines there, so I got them all cut. Trying to put them all together right now, piece them all together, clamp them all down, be sure it's all going to work. One thing before I get started, I want to show you something. That is like some quick drawings, a whole bunch of dimensions on there, a lot of angles. I hope it all works. Let's get to building this thing and see if it all comes together. All right, so I'm not an artist or a plan drawer, but this is for my own house, and this was a real quick reference. So I just scribbled some things together, and it's easy for me to work off of that, but may not be for someone else. But hey, I got it done. So here I am, just clamping everything down, and I'm really fortunate being able to have a welding table like this, and some fixture clamps like these armor clamps, to be able to do stuff like this right here. We have a lot of different angles, and trying to get everything nice and square. Man, if you can clamp it all down and just hold everything in place nice and square, it sure makes things a lot easier. And you can see that I'm just going around putting a couple tacks on all the joints right here, and then I'm going to flip it over and I'm going to do the same thing. And then I've got a foot plate right here to weld on. I've got several of these foot plates. These are 3-inch square. I've got 4-inch square, 5-inch square, 6-inch square. I get them at my metal supply store. It's a lot cheaper for me to just buy them. They're pretty cheap than to make them. So I keep them in stock. I keep quite a bit of them in stock. I use them a lot. All right, so I'm just welding everything out right now. I got a lot of people talk. I talk about this in a lot of my videos about the equipment that I'm using and the settings and the wire feed speed, but it just keeps coming up, and so I'm just going to keep addressing it. I'm operating off of the HTP ProPulse 220 MTS. This is a multi-purpose machine. Does MIG, TIG, and stick, and I'm using the MIG function here, obviously, and my wire is 35 thousandths. The wire feed speed on this machine for 063 is about I use about 220 to 240 inches a minute. Somewhere in there works well. And for my gas, I use 90-10, 90% argon, 10% CO2. All right, so finishing up the grinding right here, just using some Mercer flap discs. You know, I like the 60 grit. They got different grits available, but the 60 seems to work the best for me. They got 120 and 36 and 40, and I like the 60. It works really good. All right, placing the pickets in right now. It's the same procedure. You can see my my blocks, and I've got several different blocks with different dimensions on them: 3, 3.5, 3 3/4, 3 7/8, 4. Here in California, the legal size is 4 inches or less. And of course, this is my own personal fencing here at my house, but I still like to stay within, you know, the parameters of the code if I can. So 3 3/4, and I've got a little fluctuation there to make up if that didn't work out. But you can see right there, the equal spacing is pretty good. All right, so I'll weld it on one side and then come back and weld it on the other side. I've got a couple of tabs I'm going to put on here right now. These tabs are, I fabricate these. I keep them in stock here at my shop. I've got all kinds of different sizes. These ones here are about 1.5 inches by 2 inches long, and the hole's pretty close to the rail frame itself. And I have it purposely that way because I'm going to be putting it right in the corner of the house, and I need to be able to hit the stud in there. So if I add the longer tabs, I might risk missing the stud. So that's why I have those smaller tabs. All right, one frame out of the way, and then this will be the second frame. This one here, I've got it's going to be attached to the shed, and then I've got a concrete step to get over. And it's about 6 inches tall and about, I don't know, 20 inches long or so. And it's the same procedure here. Just clamping everything down, getting everything nice and square. And then just tacking this, doing the same procedure. You might see my torch lead holders there. I got my MIG gun and my angle grinder up there in the corner. You know, those things are pretty handy. I've got them available on my website, as well as the table dogs I'm using, and some shirts and some hats and miscellaneous items there. If you're interested, you can check that out at jimbosgarage.com. Help support the channel. That'd be awesome. All right, so I'm welding out right here, and then I'm grinding these welds down right here. And the reason is, then when I flip it over to do the other side, it's sitting flat on the welding table. If I didn't, there'd be the raised area where the welds were, and I wouldn't be able to get the frame nice and flat to the table. All right, a couple of foot plates as well on this one right here. And then also a couple of tabs. Just a better look at those tabs. You can see that the holes are pretty close to the frame gate, the gate frame right there. I have other tabs that are about 1.5 inches or 2 inches away. It all depends on what you're using them for. All right, the pickets are going in here. You know, it's amazing to me is it doesn't seem to matter what size of frame that you build, or gate or fence section or whatever it is. You know, I've got these spacer blocks in here, and they always seem to work out. You get towards the very end, and you know, you think that if you didn't have it to work out, it might be half the distance. It's a big problem, but you know, it always seems to work out. And like I say, I always stop about 3 or 4 pickets back, double check everything. And I've got a little bit of room to either open up or close the pickets in order for everything to fit in. You can see I'm making my measurements right now off the end of the frame, and it looks like I'm needing to open this up a little bit to catch up. Yeah, it's not a problem. It always seems to work out. And those small pieces of wood are about 3/8 of an inch. And they are just underneath there to keep those 5/8 pickets close to the center of the frame. All right, so welding the rest of this out, there's all kinds of different ways of doing it. So I've welded the top right here, and then I grab the side, and then that's the second frame down, and now we're on to the gate. Now the gate is about 3 feet tall, and I'm building it 48 inches wide, and the reason for that is because you guys didn't see that in the intro, but around the corner there's a shed, and that shed I've got some storage and stuff in there, and so this nice wide gate is going to make it accessible, getting bigger objects out of there without any problems. All right, so this is the gate, and I'm just putting the frame together right here. And so what I'm going to be using is 2 straight edges right here. I've got table dogs in. I've got a 90-degree angle on the short side and on the long side, and then the bottom part you're going to see that looks like it's out of square, and that's because it is out of square. The concrete that I'm putting this structure on, or this fencing and gate on, is got a lot of fall to it. So I wanted the contour of the gate to follow the concrete. I'm trying to keep it about 2 inches off the concrete, so therefore I'm having to make this gate a little bit out of square so it maintains that contour. I know I'm going to get a lot of questions. People are saying, hey, your gate's out of square, so I just wanted to explain myself why it's that way. And you can see I'm doing some stitch welding right there. The reason is that because I opened it up, I cut these joints at 45s, and I'm having to open it up, so it's creating a big gap in there. And this is some pretty thin wall material, so if you have anything of a 1/16 of an inch or wider gap, it has a tendency to burn through. But if you do a little stitch weld in there, I just took my time and just filled that gap up. That worked out pretty good. Once again, just grind everything flat. When I flip it over, it sits flat on the table. And you can see right there, you can see that you might have saw that big gap right there, and just stitch welding that up. The same thing on that this last corner right here. You can see it's a big gap, and just take my time, just go through it. I like to leave the frames like this hanging over the edge of my welding table. It allows me to get at least 3 sides with the flap disc. So when you're using a flap disc like this and you're grinding the welds down, they often leave a pretty sharp edge, and I like to come back with a like a non-woven pad right here and just hit the edges, and it just takes off those sharp edges and just makes it nice and smooth. Now we're just moving along right here. Yeah, it's the same process with the pickets right here. It goes pretty quick. Total build time for something like this right here, I want to say from start to finish was probably about 3 hours. And then of course there's priming and painting. I left a day in between each of that. But for actually building this, probably about 3 hours. All right, so you can see I keep using that square because I can't tell you enough. If you start getting out of square, man, bad things happen in a hurry. And that's why it's always nice to be double checking about every other picket. You can see even here, I had to make a couple of adjustments pretty quick to open them up and close them up to get back on track. Doesn't take much to get off. And just finishing up, I just want to be sure that these pickets end up being really close. And they are. That turned out just the way I was hoping. And like I mentioned a little earlier, there's all kinds of different ways of doing this. You can see that right here, I'm going to grab this side right here. Then I'm going to turn around and come back the other way. That's just one way of doing it. And I think I'm going to show another way here. Stand it up on end. I've done that quite a bit. Yeah, so like this. And then you can get both sides. So here I'm going to go down this side with one side, and then I'm going to turn around and come back the other way. So whatever works out, whatever's the best, whatever you're most comfortable with. I use both methods. All right, we got a couple hinges here, a couple barrel hinges. These things are kind of funny, I'm telling you. If you get off, they work really good if you get them nice and square, nice and straight. But boy, if they get off a little bit, They bind up in there and they're tough. But man, if they stay straight and square, these things work smooth. Actually, they're called bullet hinges. There's a couple different names for them, but anyways, there's all 3 pieces right there. And I get a lot of people ask me, what do I do for paint? Well, a lot of times I powder coat a lot of my stuff, and then when I don't, I use metal primer on a gravity-fed gun just like this, and that works pretty good. Let that dry a day and come back. This is some semi-gloss oil-based for metal only, and this is what I use. Put a nice thick coat of this on. Really put it on liberal. You know, I open up all of vents and airways on the gun, and it just blows it on there nice and thick. So that's the way I take care of the priming and the painting. And if I don't do it this way, like I say, powder coat is really a good way to go. All right, some installation. You know, I don't do a lot of installation videos, but this is at my house right here. I'm going to show this. I am going to show this a little bit. Little rotor hammer it through the stucco, and then about a 2.5 or 3 inch long lag screw right into the stud. And then I'm going to drill with a rotor hammer into the concrete. And I got some screw anchors, and that's going to fasten that down. A lot of times it's hard to show installation videos. A lot of people keep asking about that, but man, it all depends on location, and sometimes these installs take a long time, but for something like this, it's fairly simple. All right, and then this is the one up against the shed and over the concrete step. And same thing, I'm just gonna drill this, put a couple screws in there with the tabs, and then rotor hammer into the concrete. Now right there, believe it or not, I hit rebar. What are the odds, right? So I got 3 holes drilled, but nope. I thought maybe it might have been a rock for the concrete, but no, it was rebar. There's metal coming up through there. So I'm only going to get 3 lags in here. But I'm going to try to stick that 4th one in right here. Nope, ain't going to happen. So we're going to do with 3. That'll be fine. Small. The important washers right there, these little brass bushings, you have to have these things for these hinges. They work really well. Just drop them right into place, and there it is. Lines up really nice. You know, this little latch right here, I usually use thumb latches, but I ran across these kingmetals.com, and I was going through that brochure, picking some stuff up, and I got to tell you, man, I really like these for a situation like this, a small little gate like this. These little magnet pull latches are ideal. You know, they give you a lot of fluctuation too. There's a lot of, you can have a gap from as much as 3/4 of an inch down to 1/4 of an inch, and that magnet works well. Nice little pull latch. Kind of like it. All right, and there it is. That thing works just like that. Pretty smooth operation here. I really like it. You can see how that just latches right in. Pretty cool. All right, I hope you guys enjoyed watching this video. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you on the next video. By the way, this looks like it's going to do its job keeping old Walter out from getting inside there.
See you next time on Jimbo's Garage.